Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Armchair Athletes live stream. Getting a little exhausted here. We've done a few in a row, but we're starting to get into that grind, get into the groove. Merry Christmas Eve. Got the Christmas sweater going on here. So this is the Week 16 Players to Avoid stream. If it's your first time here, thanks for joining. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell as well to make sure you get all of our notifications on all of our posts. We've been spitting out shorts left and right on different players that we're analyzing for fantasy football. Got a lot of really exciting content coming up in the off season as well. So if it's your first time here, thanks for joining. My name is Corey, and this is Armchair Athletes, where I do plenty of fantasy analyses, case studies, and of course, I answer all of your fantasy questions in the comment section below. So again, if it's your first time here, how these kind of work is I'm going to go over a certain point for probably 10, 15, 20 minutes, give or take. And then throughout that time, drop any questions that you have, start, sit-wise, waiver-wise. I don't think we'll have any more trade questions. Players we should believe in, matchups, injury updates, that type of thing. Make sure you drop that in the chat below, and I'll get to those. And then, we pretty much just do an open question and answer session from there on. I see Dylan's in the chat. Thanks for joining, man. So make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms, pretty much. Those links are going to be in the description. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok as well. I got to include the TikTok link. And then if you are confident in your sports research like I am, make sure that you go ahead and join Underdog Fantasy by hitting the link in the description. I know the football season's almost over, but this is done for MLS. This is done for MLB once that starts up. It's done for NBA, NHL. Anything you can really think of, you're able to bet on it. Use promo code Corey0410. That's the key in order to get your deposit matched dollar for dollar up to $100. It's a great app that lets you guess overs and unders, you parlays, and it gives you constant fantasy updates. So for those of you that like to bet on fantasy points, basically, there is an entire tab on Underdog Fantasy that's updating you on injuries, updating you on different roster swaps. We've got the Zach Wilson situation. If he's healthy, he's in. As long as Mike White is out, if Mike White is healthy, he's in over Zach Wilson. Maybe somebody else will come in. Jimmy G to the Jets in a few months. Who knows, right? But Underdog Fantasy is a great app that lets you guess overs and unders. And again, it has that fantasy tab. So make sure you download that app, and then you get a dollar for dollar deposit match up to $100. So you're already in the green from the beginning. Why not do it? Of course, be smart with your money. I understand that gambling addiction is very serious. So I personally set aside a small amount of money for the month and don't go beyond it. That's what I do. Also, folks, make sure that you check out the Start to Sit 1 YouTube short series we have going on. I have the quarterbacks and running backs up already. And then before the kickoff at noon Central Time tomorrow, I will have the wide receiver and tight end picks up. But again, if you have any questions regarding your lineup, you pop those questions in the chat. I also want to do a quick update on some injuries. I was doing this yesterday as well. So Kenneth Walker III looks like he's going to be good to go against the Chiefs. Ramondre Stevenson is questionable going into that matchup against the Bengals. We still don't know. Lamar Jackson officially out against the Falcons, so do with that information what you will. Not too excited as a Mark Andrews owner because he has just not been connecting with Tyler Huntley too well. And Tyler Huntley is also questionable. I should mention that too. Latavius Murray is probable against the Rams, and Marquise Brown currently questionable against the Buccaneers. So those are your injury updates. Now, without further ado, let's get into some Week 16 players that you better avoid. So this is a pretty good list because a lot of these guys are relevant. I have talked about the possible effectiveness, the ceiling of some of these players, and they just haven't panned out, and they don't have the best schedule ahead of them either in some cases. Let's start out with Deshaun Watson, the man under center. We expected Deshaun Watson to have some rust. I saw a lot of different fantasy pages saying, yeah, let's promote his comeback. I guarantee he's going to do extremely well. Look at what he was doing in Houston in 2020. That's just it, folks. That was 2020. I don't think he should have been an immediate fantasy ad, and I just see his ownership rating go up, just like how it did with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is a different beast, and also, you've got to think about it. Hopkins was only out for, 6 weeks in the season? He did not take 2 years off of football in terms of not being able to play in a regular season NFL game for that long. So I said there was going to be some rust. There will be a period of time where he needs to shake off said rust. We're looking at it right now. He played really bad against the Texans. Probably a lot of factors there in terms of nerves. We as fantasy owners should not have to ride that wave of shaking off rust. Wait till the guy hits his prime. What does that mean? It means wait till next year. He's not worth the risk. He's got a mid-tier schedule down the road. He doesn't have one of the easiest schedules, doesn't have one of the hardest ones. He's not adjusting very well right now. Just not a big fan of Deshaun Watson starting or even being on my lineup. So he's not, and I don't think he should be on yours. Look in the past, Watson's career low for yards per attempt was 7.5. He's currently sitting, as you can see here, at 6.2, just not throwing the ball down the field. Why is this? Well, it's a combination of things. He's also averaging less than 200 passing yards per game, and he's only had 2 passing touchdowns in 3 contests. Again, why is this? Well, Watson doesn't look confident out there, and he's working with a brand new receiving core that he needs to establish some timing with. It's a new playbook. You can't just slap a ton of talent together, and this is especially indicative on the football field with Watson and that wide receiving core. You can't just slap a bunch of talent together and expect for all to go well. He's got to get the timing down with his receivers. It's a new offensive line. It's a new playbook. He hasn't been able to practice with the team until a little bit ago. Cleveland also passes the ball 50.3% of the time. That's the 4th lowest rating in the league. So when you're talking about opportunity, when you're talking about throw frequency, we're not really going to see it with Watson. And I don't see Kevin Stefanski all of a sudden giving the keys to Watson and saying, yeah, you can throw the ball 40 times, especially after his recent performances. They've got Nick Chubb, a top 3 running back in the league. Where he falls within that upper ranking, you can debate on your own, but Nick Chubb is phenomenal. Even if Nick Chubb were to not go, it'd be Kareem Hunt. Looks like Chubb will be good to go, though. It's a run-heavy offense, and it's a quarterback who hasn't played football in 2 years. I don't see a whole lot of appeal in starting him, and, I mean, we're seeing it, right? It's a lack of ability to throw the ball on the field and succeed right now with a cast that he just hasn't gelled with. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. Let's go into the backfield. We've got 2 running backs for you today. I was talking about this guy a few weeks ago, Antonio Gibson. The Washington Commanders backfield is ever evolving, and because of that, it's a fantasy nightmare. I was telling you all to go get Antonio Gibson just a few weeks ago when he was consistently getting a few targets a game. He was getting kind of what Jerick McKissick is getting right now. Then we get really confident because Brian Robinson was looking like an inefficient back. He was around that 3.4, 3.5 yard per carry mark for a bit. Now Brian Robinson is averaging 5.7 yards per carry in the last 3 weeks, and he has more than double the amount of touches as Gibson in the last 3 weeks, so in that same span as well. Gibson has more snaps, but he's not getting the ball. So this is the interesting part, right? Let's look at week 15. This is a perfect example. Brian Robinson Jr., 13 touches on just 24 snaps. So when he was on the field, more often than not, he was getting the ball, which is very rare for pretty much any position, right? Except for quarterback. You're touching the ball every play, with the exception of the occasional Wildcat play. And then Gibson, 7 touches on 38 snaps. So Gibson had 14 more snaps. He was in for well over half the snaps. He only got 7 touches, had 2 targets that didn't go his way. Brian Robinson, 13 touches on 24 snaps, just more involved. If anything, that's kind of a tell for the Commanders. When Brian Robinson's on the field, he's more likely to get the ball. So, defensive coordinators, if you're watching this, right? But yeah, just a real big blunder in the backfield right now in terms of the Washington Commanders. All right, let's go to D'Onta Foreman. So this guy isn't even getting on the field. We're talking about Antonio Gibson having the snaps, just not getting the ball when he's on the field. I mean, D'Onta Foreman is not getting on the field at all. So how is he going to succeed? Well, he won't, and he hasn't. So Foreman has been in for less than 50% of snaps in each of the last 2 weeks. And last week, Hubbard had more snaps than him. So kind of the same situation here. We know Christian McCaffrey left a few weeks ago, going over to the 49ers. They've been phenomenal since. That's a whole other video. But and how powerful that team is. But with Hubbard, he's taking over snaps. You can see top is Hubbard, and then bottom of the screen, we do have Mr. D'Onta Foreman, who I was big on. He still has one of the easiest remaining schedules, but so does Hubbard. So the low usage is due to Foreman's lack of productivity. We saw it last week. 10 rushes for just 9 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. To be fair, Carolina did average just 1.3 yards per carry on the day. I don't believe that Hubbard averaged over 2.5 yards a carry. So, again, they were kind of struggling across the board, and they had to abandon the run. Ended up throwing the ball a lot more often, and they were losing the game. So that's kind of what we got to do. See, Tino's in the chat. Tino, make sure you drop those fantasy football questions in the comment section below. Anybody who's joining right now, my name is Corey. This is Armchair Athletes, and we are helping you out research your opponent. Going into Week 16, you've probably got a playoff matchup. We were just covering D'Onta Foreman and his inefficiency and his lack of snaps, as well as Hubbard is getting way more snaps than him. So, yeah, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and most importantly, make sure you drop any questions you have regarding your lineup ahead of the noon kickoff period tomorrow in the comment section below. I'll still be on YouTube. I'll be checking the comment section, so if there's stuff later on, that's fine. If you want to drop your comments in any of the shorts I've recently posted, any video, this video after it's done and archived, that's fine too, but I'm here now, so ask them and you'll get an answer in live time. So just going over some people that definitely you should just avoid in terms of starting. in terms of who's on your bench and who's on waivers right now, that doesn't really matter. We need our playmakers in, whether you're fighting for first, fifth, third, seventh, ninth, 16th. I don't know. You know what I mean? But regardless, so far we have said that Deshaun Watson just not as efficient as he has been in the past. I'm not blaming him, for not well. He's gone for a reason, right? He was gone for 2 years, but I personally think the lack of productivity was expected. We're going to see that rust period. Then we went to Antonio Gibson. Plenty of snaps, just not getting the usage, and Brian Robinson's averaging over 5.5 yards a carry in the last 3 weeks and is getting more touches. Deontay Foreman just hasn't been on the field. It's been the Hubbard show as of late. Let's go out wide. We've got Jacoby Myers. I promise Jacoby Myers is not on this list because of that horrible game-ending lateral he had where I wish I could have it on the screen right now, where Chandler Jones returned a stray ball for the walk-off win. I mean, Myers has just 15 targets in his last 4 games. All right, let's make that clear. I'll be transparent. That is why he's here, not because of the failed lateral. I liked Myers. I think he was an ad of mine a few weeks ago, whether in a YouTube short or on one of these live streams. This is partially because New England runs the ball more than all but 11 teams in the league, so they're nearly in that top third, right? They only pass the ball about 54% of the time. It's also because of the great amount of dump-off screen passes to Ramondre Stevenson. Remember how I just said Jacoby Myers has 15 targets in his last 4 games, so he's averaging a shade under 4? Ramondre Stevenson, a running back, has 24 targets in that same span. He's a more primary target than the supposed primary target of Jacoby Myers. Myers is also questionable with a shoulder injury. Somebody didn't include in the updates, but I'm telling you to avoid him, so it shouldn't matter. Even if Myers does play against Cincinnati, it's a great secondary. He's not getting usage. I would avoid starting him at all costs. Matt Patricia is very similar to Josh McDaniels. I mean, they're spitting images of each other. If you watch the Patriots-Raiders game before that debacle of the last play, you know what I'm talking about. Plenty of screen passes, and fans of both of these franchises know exactly what I'm talking about. So because of that, Ramondre Stevenson's very involved, aside from the fact that the Patriots do run the ball 46% of the time. So he's not getting much opportunity to begin with for multiple reasons. Let's go to the tight end spot, and then I will open this entire thing up for your favorite part, and that is a question and answer session. So you've got a couple in there already. Keep stacking those in. Tell your friends, tell your family we're on the stream. Tell them we're wearing the Christmas sweater. Yeah. And by the way, happy holidays, everybody. I appreciate all of you so much. Subscriber count continues to grow. View count continues to grow. Every time I put out content, a lot of you are super encouraging, saying you respect the grind, saying you appreciate me putting out this research-based content to try and help all of you out in fantasy, and that's what it's all about. So thank you all so much. You're all helping me by following me and watching this live stream right now. So let's go to Greg Dulcich. You just saw him pop up on the lower third. Greg Dulcich was getting a decent amount of usage until last week when he had a season-low 2 targets. I'm just having trouble trusting anybody, any Broncos pass catcher really, not named Jerry Jeudy. I'm having a lot of trouble with it. But if we look at Greg Dulcich, something that's really alarming to me, it's a more specific stat that concerns me, is Dulcich's low catch percentage. So with tight ends, you're typically going to see somebody in the high 70s, low 80s. You'll see it with Robert Tonyan. You'll see it with Juwan Johnson. Pretty high catch percentages relative to the targets around him. Greg Dulcich, it's a tongue twister. It is Dulcich, has only brought in 29 of his 47 targets. That's an alarmingly low, it's a really low rate for a tight end. Him and Wilson, Russ that is, don't seem to be able to get on the same page. So, letting Russ cook, Broncos Nation, let's ride it, whatever you want to call it. Him and Greg Dulcich have not been getting on the same page. He's got a lower catch percentage than Jeudy. He's got a lower catch percentage than, Kendall Hinton. Eric Salbert has a lower one than him. Cortland Sutton might be back pretty soon as well. Just limited options, and we're seeing a pretty effective rushing attack by Latavius Murray. Obviously, the Broncos will have to go more throw-heavy down the stretch, and as a result, they're going to be ignoring Dulcich a little bit more. If, Sutton comes back. But if they go more throw-heavy down the stretch, maybe he gets involved. I just don't see a good connection between those two. 62% catch rate. I know it's kind of splitting hairs. I'm saying, it's usually mid-70s or low 80s. That makes a difference. There was a game not too long ago. It was either last week or a couple weeks ago. At one point, 6 targets, 2 receptions, and you're thinking 6 targets for a tight end. That's great. That might be all he sees. So it's just not a great situation in Denver for multiple reasons, right? But I was big on Greg Dulcich. First 3 games of his career, he's a fantasy double-digit scorer. But just looking for something that would possibly work in Denver. We're slowly learning that just nothing works in Denver right now. That's why they're 4-10. A team that just paid over $200 million for a quarterback is going to have to tank. So, wonderful. Again, for those of you who are just stopping in the stream, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe. I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes, and we are helping you do your fantasy football homework ahead of the majority of Week 16 action. Plenty of Christmas Eve games, 3 games on Christmas. There's our injury updates. Once again, Kenneth Walker III is probable. Stevenson's questionable still. Lamar Jackson is declared out. Latavius Murray is probable. Looks like he'll go. And then Marquise Brown is still questionable. So those 2 Qs you're going to want to monitor, especially Stevenson. I know it's not the most optimal matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals front 7. Nonetheless, as we just said before, great pass catcher. He's got 60 receptions as a running back. That's one of the top in the league. So definitely something to watch out for. Let's go in the comment section and go over some of your questions here. We've got Tino, Dylan, and Edward with some things. Let's go, guys. I appreciate you coming in. Dylan wondering, is A.J. Dillon a viable option if you're thin on backs? Yeah, especially if you're in a deeper league, Dylan, I would say he is. We can go here. I think A.J. Dillon's productivity, and you brought this up in another stream, or I think it was on a short, actually. A.J. Dillon's productivity has been very impressive. He's been getting more chances. This Packers team, as odd as they are, at 6-8, they do really thrive when they utilize the run game. When they're utilizing Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the past, that's exactly what they did last week against the Rams, against Baker Mayfield. If we look at the usage of A.J. Dillon, I'm pretty optimistic about him. He's not going against the best teams, right? Even the Eagles, they have a weak spot, and that is run defense. Their front 7, even when they're healthy, they're allowing about 4.5 yards a carry, which is not optimal. The pass catching ability and the pass catching usage, of A.J. Dillon, that's what really entices me here. We've got 3 receptions, 3 receptions, 3 receptions. That's an extra 5. That's an extra 5.5. That's an extra 6.5 points. And then the scoring on the ground, well, we already knew this, but obviously A.J. Dillon is a goal-to-go type of guy. I was very shocked that through the end of November, he only had 1 touchdown nearly. Well, he got the second one against Philly, right? Super shocked. We're seeing him be super efficient. I was worried about him for a bit. He was sitting in that 3.7, 3.8 yards per carry slot. He's going against Chicago, and he does really well. He's going against Philadelphia, and on limited touches, he does well. And then against the Rams, 14 touches once again. Not the most efficient on the ground, but being involved in the passing game, that was something that I felt we discovered about him in the middle of last year, and he just wasn't utilized that way. So Dylan, I definitely would say he is. If we go to Fantasy Pros here, strength of remaining schedule. If you're kind of on the fence and you want to say, I really want to see what A.J. Dillon is up against for the majority of the rest of the season. We go here. It's middle of the pack, right? So the more stars, the easier schedule. We're at 3. A.J. Dillon there and at running back 2. Yeah, I think it's fine. Another thing I want to look at, Dylan, if it's your first time in a live stream, 3 aspects I love to look at with fantasy players are availability, opportunity, and productivity. So are they healthy? A.J. Dillon's been healthy. Opportunity, is he getting the ball in his hands? Productivity, what's he doing with the ball in his hands? Well, 4.3 yards a carry, especially with his production as of late, that's pretty good. He's also a decent PPR guy with those 26 receptions. He's got 10 in the last 4 games. Last thing I want to look at again, I said availability, opportunity, and productivity. We want to see how many snaps this man is getting. And there have been a lot more sets, especially at a shotgun. It's a more crowded backfield. There's guys in motion. One of those being Christian Watson, who has exploded as of late. Had a quieter week last week, I believe, at 8.5 points. We want to look at snap percentage because, sometimes Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are on the field together. And that is completely fine. Seen only 37%. So 26 touches. 40 there. A.J. Dillon had the majority in week 13. It's kind of been back and forth between him and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is still the main back, right? You can also look at this. Put their touches side by side so we don't have to toggle back and forth between 2 stats. In the parentheses here, how many touches these guys have been getting. It's pretty even, honestly. 46 in the last 3 games for A.J. Dillon. 50 in the last 3 games for Aaron Jones. Seeing Aaron Jones get a little more snaps. More efficient. More involved in the air, but A.J. Dillon's one of the better feature running back twos in the league because I would consider the Packers to have a running back by committee. Yes, Aaron Jones is very likely to break 1,000 yards. It's actually not beyond the scope of possibility for A.J. Dillon to do it too. He would need 3 monster games. But Dillon, to answer your question, I think that A.J. Dillon's a very viable option, especially in like a 10, 12, 14 team league. You could definitely start him. He's involved in the past, and I think he's doing really well. Tino is asking, what is a good defense to stream this week? I got Cincinnati in right now. Cincinnati's pretty good down the stretch. Great at forcing turnovers, not allowing a whole lot of points. If we look at Cincinnati, Tennessee's a great one too. I can pull up a couple metrics on them. How are all of you doing in fantasy football right now? I'm currently in the 2nd week of my 1st round. Are you guys done? Are you in the championship? Fighting for 3rd? Let me know where you're at here. Paint the picture for me. I'm going here. So this is for Tino talking about streaming defenses. I would definitely suggest the Titans this week against Houston. I know the Titans got grabbed by a lot of people because of the weak opposition. Anybody playing against that Houston offense, or the Broncos offense, really, unless you're the Chiefs. For whatever reason, the Broncos had a great day there. The Chiefs secondary has a lot of holes in it. I'm a big fan of any defense, though, pretty much playing against the Texans. You said you've got Cincinnati, owned in less than half of the league. Is good grab. We know they're playing the Patriots, who might be going without Ramondre Stevenson. You've got Mac Jones really frustrated with Matt Patricia. He wants to throw the ball down the field more. He's cussing him out. Like I said before, why can't I find it? Titans. Yeah, they're owned in over half of leagues now. You can see that jump, and that's precisely because they are playing against Houston. I guarantee that number drops a ton because Dallas's offense is electric when healthy, and Jacksonville with, Christian Kirk running around, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, a top 3 tight end in fantasy now. How about that? Another 18 points on Thursday night. That's a really deadly offense. Trevor Lawrence is spreading the ball out well. Looks like the best second-year quarterback out of anybody right now. Went toe-to-toe with Zach Wilson, and that went, well, just about how we expected. Yeah, and Travis Etienne. So I would say a good stream strictly for this week. You pick them up for this week, and you drop them right after and forget about them forever. Titans defense is a good one. Cincinnati's fine. Yeah, we just want to look at strength of opposition, right? Wouldn't hate the Ravens move here. Cordero Patterson is still questionable. Tyler Algier has been okay. Jets defense really did not perform. They couldn't get in the backfield at all. Trevor Lawrence has one of the fastest release times of anybody in the league. So how many times did they get to him? Once. Allowing 19 points. Had a fumble recovery. They allowed plenty of yards, so that's why their score was a little lower. Yeah, so for defenses to stream, let's roll with, you can go with Cincinnati if Ramondre's out especially. Otherwise, I really do like the Tennessee Titans move. Edward's in here. Good to see you, Edward. Which quarterback should I choose now that Hurts is hurt? Yeah, that's a big topic of conversation, right? We've got Daniel Jones in that really weak matchup against the Vikings. We've got TB12. We've got Jared Goff, Gardner Minshew, or Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's got one of his toughest matchups. I would say the rest of the season he's going to be fine. He plays the Cardinals and the Raiders after this matchup. Against the Commanders, I'm not in love with it. I'm going to stray away from Purdy. Tom Brady just hasn't looked sharp, to be entirely transparent with you. I don't really know how else to put it. He's on pace for his lowest touchdown total in over a decade and a half. That really speaks more on his the longevity of his career. Going up against Arizona, it's a decent matchup, right? Jared Goff on the road, somebody told me this stat yesterday. 3 passing touchdowns on the road this year, 20 at home. I'm not a big fan of those types of stats, but he really does seem uncomfortable on the road. I'm not a professional athlete, but that starts to make me think maybe he's not very comfortable in other stadiums. So I'm going to go with that. We're going to get away from Goff. Minshew going up against the Cowboys, I think that projection's way too high. If we look at where he's at right now, I think it was 16.5. Let's look up Minshew Mania. 16.5 on the dot. I don't know how I feel about that, okay? So it was Jalen Hurts way back when he was going against Cooper Rush, and everyone was like, who's the quarterback in Dallas now? And that conversation's kind of subsided. I personally think Dak gets way too much hate. But if you look back here, Jalen Hurts did play in that game, and against Dallas, 15 for 25, 2 touchdowns. You know, one of his worst rushing games of the year. I would say the one against Washington was a little worse. Tennessee was rough. Everything else pretty good. Pittsburgh, not much there. 16.9 points for Hurts. Can you really sit here and tell me that Gardner Minshew is going to put up 16.5 against that team? Not to mention, okay, we've got, I believe it's 26 forced turnovers. Just give me a quick answer. Come on. Yeah, that's not what I want. Wait. I'm pretty sure Dallas has 26 forced turnovers. This should not be that hard to find. Here, 1 second. I'm sorry. Hello? Turnovers forced. Nope, total fumbles. Well, I can do this, okay? Dallas. Why am I so confused right now? 1 second. I was able to find this so easy before. There it is. Okay, so Dallas leads the league with 26 forced turnovers. I'll have to think of where my train of thought was before. So Gardner Minshew is going up against a defense that held Jalen Hurts to 16.9. Now he goes up against a defense that I think has gotten even better. You see the tenacity of Micah Parsons, who I think is front runner for Defensive Player of the Year right now. He's also on a team that runs the ball more than all but 2 teams. Those 2 teams being Chicago, who they run it like 62% of the time, and then Atlanta's shortly behind them. So you've got a run-heavy team. Obviously, some of that is Hurts, but you have to understand Miles Sanders is top 10 in the league in volume, so he's getting a lot of handoffs. I don't care who's under center. You're going to do that. You know, maybe you won't see the read option out of shotgun with Minshew, but Minshew's on a run-heavy team. He's going against a really tough defense that leads the league in forced turnovers, and Hurts didn't do all that good against him last year. I could see Minshew getting 13, 14 points. So I'm going through Edwards' question right now. Goff sucks on the road. Tampa Tom just doesn't look great. Brock Purdy has his toughest matchup left of the season going against the Commanders, and he was questionable until yesterday. Minshew Mania's got a tougher matchup, and I think people want to understand. I know he's great. I know if you've ever heard of the story of, I'll tell it real quick. Minshew was trying to get an extra year of eligibility so he could play another year in college, so he took a hammer to his hand. He downed like some whiskey or something, took a hammer to his hand, and he got himself red-shirted or gray-shirted or whatever. Okay, we're replacing Hurts. I think I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. I know it's a run-heavy scheme, but he's going against a Minnesota Vikings team that is allowing the most passing yards per game of anybody. And actually, if we look at Daniel Jones, and we would just want to eyeball what he's done this year so far, not only has it not been bad, he has thrived against the weaker secondaries. I don't think he's choked in a game against what I would classify as a weak secondary. If we look at Daniel Jones, actually, let's just go right in here so we can see his fantasy performance. This is going to be standard PPR, so there's going to be a bit of a fluctuation depending on what you're looking for. Let's just go Jones. That's really going to narrow it down. There we go. Okay, I think he's played Jacksonville this year, and he did really well. All right, let's go through it. Tennessee, 16, okay. Carolina's got an underrated secondary. We know what Dallas can do. Chicago, look what he did, 21. Green Bay has a really good secondary. They allow the second least amount of passing yards in the league. Baltimore's Jacksonville's very weak. We know that. 29 points against them. Seattle's respectable. He should have been able to tear apart Detroit. He did. Dallas again. Washington. Philly. Washington. And he did pretty well against Washington that first time and against Philly as well. I think Daniel Jones against Minnesota could get 20-something points. So, Edward, as weird as it sounds, I'm taking Daniel Jones over all those other options. After that, I'd probably go Tom Brady. I feel like he has a pretty good matchup against a Cardinals team that knows how to allow a decent amount of points in a short amount of time. We saw Justin Herbert do them to him not too long ago. So, among some other guys, I think I like Daniel Jones. You know, Purdy and Minshew have pretty tough matchups. Goff's on the road. Jones and TB12 have pretty optimal matchups, and I kind of want to go with that at this point. Okay. Tino says Aaron Jones needs all the production. Too many touchdowns for Dylan. So I'm guessing you're an Aaron Jones user, right? Yeah, Tino, I mean, they're both on the field at the same time a lot, so that's kind of the beauty in it. They both can get a lot. If we look at this last game, so many targets for the running backs. Let's actually jump into the box score. I believe Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon were the leading receivers. Sammy Watkins has been dropped. Keep our tabs to a minimum. All right, so we got December 19th. Okay, so Romeo Dobbs is up there. It was for a bit. It was when I was watching the game about halfway through. It was Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Both of these guys are well involved. Again, 30 passing attempts, 35 rushes. Aaron Jones, 17 for 90. A.J. Dillon, 11 for 36. Again, he's going to get those tougher yards. He's going to be in those goal-to-go situations. So, yeah, for Aaron Jones, you can't be mad, right? 9.6 points through the air. No, I'm sorry. 7.6 plus the 6 would be 13.6. 22.6 for Aaron Jones. You got to be pretty happy with that. Then A.J. Dillon got his 2 touchdowns, and even without the touchdowns, okay, let's say he got no touchdowns there. 3.6 for Dillon. Plus another 6.5, 10.1. These two can live together. I feel like these are two of the more compatible running back tandems in the league. Or it'd be one tandem. Two of the more compatible running backs together in the league. So I don't think that Dillon has to, taper back, but I get it. Speaking of Dillon, we've got Dillon in the chat saying, fighting for third place. I hear you. Tino says he's in the semifinals, started Ingram over Andrews, started the week off right. And I think that's the right move, Tino. If we look at Tyler Huntley and Mark Andrews, so that's the last couple of weeks. They haven't produced very well. I've been watching Mark Andrews get like 4 points, 6 points. That's just not what we're used to. And it's a tough tight end market right now, so you really need your premium tight ends to perform. He just hasn't. It's just a lack of connections because if you look at the targets, I've seen multiple fantasy analysis or analysts go over this. This is what we want. 7 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. The problem is, out of these 27 targets in the last 4 games, he has, we have 13 receptions. That's not good. If he can catch a couple more of those, we're happy campers. We've got 9 here. Catch one or two more of those, and you're fine. Catch 1 or 2 more of those, and you're fine. Pittsburgh day was really rough. He was 2 for 6, 3 for 7. This is not what we're used to seeing from Mark Andrews. Him and Tyler Huntley have just not been able to connect, and Lamar Jackson is out once again, so not the biggest fan of that situation at all. But, yeah, good stuff, Tino. I believe Evan Ingram got 18 point something, so pretty good stuff from him. Again, if you guys are just joining, my name is Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. We're helping you do your fantasy football homework. Going into Week 16's action on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. We've got the Home Alone sweater. It says Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Was just watching that great movie. I think I was watching Home Alone 2. Fun fact, I'm like 45, 50 minutes away from the actual house. It's in Illinois. Tino, who's in the chat, he probably lives even closer to the Home Alone house. Edward Zhang says, Titans defense against the Texans or Broncos versus the Rams. Pick your poison, man. Both of those are piss poor defenses, or offenses, excuse me. I mean, the Texans offense is horrible. I would even maybe go with the Rams defense because the Broncos have been so bad. The Rams are more hurt, so we're going to go with that. I'm going Titans against the Texans. The Texans are hurt. They're revolving at quarterback right now. It's Kyle Allen. It's Davis Mills. It's whoever looks better in practice this week. They're probably going to be going and getting Bryce Young, if I had to guess. Can't wait to do some mock draft stuff with you guys. That should be pretty cool. But for Edward, Titans defense or Broncos defense. The Broncos have a great defense, though. I would say the Broncos have a way stronger defense than the Titans in terms of points allowed, turnovers forced. If the Broncos didn't have the defense that they have right now, that team could legitimately be 0-14. I don't doubt it in the slightest. I'm stuck between 2 rocks and a hard place there because those are 2 really solid matchups. The Broncos are so good at getting to the quarterback. Got 6 sacks in that game against Indy. Who have they scored well against? Scored well against Houston, as they should. Against San Francisco. Against Indy, as you should. Really good Jacksonville offense before they started molding. -2 against Vegas. 13 against Baltimore. But Lamar's hurt. 12 against Arizona. I mean, I could see them easily getting 10 to 12 points, right? And then if you look at the Titans actually had a really impressive performance against Justin Herbert and the Chargers last week. They did allow a lot of yards, so didn't get as many points as they probably should have. I think we got to roll with the stronger defense, and that is definitely the Broncos. They get to the quarterback more. They're not allowing nearly as many points. And it's potato when you look at how bad the Texans and Rams offenses are. You got to go all the way to the bottom. There's the Rams, 16.5. Houston scores 16.9. I actually thought Houston scored less than that. So there's the $200 million quarterback leading his team to 15.6 a game. All right, I'm done crapping on Russell Wilson, but let's go with the Broncos. Way stronger offense and way stronger defense, and arguably a worse offense that they're going up against in the Rams with how hurt they are. As hard as it is to say an offense is weaker than Houston, I think the Rams are contenders for that title, along with Indianapolis and, of course, the Broncos themselves. That could be like a 9-6 game. I don't care if it's 80 and sunny, which it's not going to be. It's going to be very cold across the NFL this week. It's currently like -2 by me. Got Babjap, welcome in. I'm streaming a Conquo this week over in Njoku. Might be a terrible idea, but I'm worried about the potential weather situation with this game. Yeah, Babjap, I'd also be worried about the guy under center. It's Malik Willis. And if we look at Malik Willis, I'm okay with the Conquo being on your lineup just to make sure someone else doesn't get him on the off chance that he does do well. But I do think it is an off chance that he does well. I'm not really worried about Malik Willis's completion rate, his QBR, any of that. He's young. I'm just worried about how the playbook is used when he is in. When they played against Houston, 6 for 10. He threw the ball 10 times. When they played against Kansas City, one of the worst secondaries in the league. Again, he's still developing. But this is just me using what I know and using what we have seen to tell you that Okonkwo might not be having the greatest game, because who is Malik Willis really going to allow to have a great game other than Derrick Henry? It's going to be a lot of read option. They're going to use Malik Willis's mobility, and that's what we saw here. When he's thriving, he's doing this right now. They're allowing him to use his legs. There's no A.J. Brown down there, and I wouldn't say it's Okonkwo either. Okonkwo has 3 straight double-digit performances, and look, I know it's super tempting, especially in this current tight end market, right? Shoot, even Mark Andrews is going through a slump right now because there's a revolving door quarterback there with Lamar being hurt in a contract year. But yeah, the weather, and then Malik Willis has thrown the ball 16 times. That's the most he's thrown the ball in a game, and he started 2 games. So he's throwing the ball 13 times per game in the 2 games he started. I don't think Okonkwo is in a position to succeed. The weather's not going to be good. Everything's set. Okay, the weather's not going to be good. They've got the best hard-nosed running back in the league who's going to truck people over. And there's a new/mobile quarterback under center. That just screams run-heavy scheme. I would not be shocked if the Titans run it 65-70% of the time. So I'd probably go Njoku. I'm not a big fan of Deshaun Watson. He's coming back from a 2-year hiatus. He has not performed well. He needs to shake the rust off. But I think Njoku at least is getting some targets. I don't think Okonkwo is going to be able to get any targets with Malik Willis under center. If we look, we'd have to look recently since the Houston matchup, right, to see what Njoku has done with Deshaun Watson back. So if we look game log, keep dropping those questions in the chat, folks. Again, my name's Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. We're helping you out research your opponent going into week 16. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 350 subs. We're almost there. Really appreciate all of your recent support. And of course, happy holidays. Merry Christmas Eve. So yeah, with Njoku. So, okay, he was out that week. But against Cincinnati, that would count. 7 for 59 with a touchdown. 3 for 28. Not great. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's really not that good. But nonetheless, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Okonkwo is going to be in there with a guy under center who is very, very, very run heavy. So, and that's just what the playbook is right now in his development. So let's not do that. I'm thinking Njoku. I understand if you want to go the other way, but bad weather, dominant running back, young quarterback who uses his mobility, and that's when the offense has the most success, especially in read option and power read scenarios. I'm staying away from Okonkwo. We're just going to sit back and see what Malik Willis can do. I'm not opposed to you stashing him on your bench so nobody else can have him, but Leighton Alvarez, good to see you, Leighton. Who should I flex? We're looking at Christian Watson against Miami, Devontae Smith against the Cowboys. We've got J.K. Dobbins against the Falcons. Okay. We've got Jerry Jeudy. Flex, we typically want a pass catcher. J.K. Dobbins is not too involved in the pass catching game right now. I really do like that matchup against the Falcons for 2 reasons. I just did a YouTube short on J.K. Dobbins if you guys want to check that out. Let's see what we got going here. Yeah, so Atlanta, mid-tier in terms of stopping the run, 4.3. Atlanta gets down a lot, so you're typically going to see some more run-heavy schemes against them. I mean, in terms of what I love, though, we talk about the 3 aspects of a player. Availability, Dobbins was hurt. Opportunity, Dobbins is getting the ball more and more. He's getting coaxed back into this lineup. Productivity, 5.8 yards per carry, and some people are going to say, oh, that's such a small sample size. Corey, he only has 63 attempts. Okay, double it. He had 134 in 2020 before the 1-year hiatus with the huge injury. 6 yards a carry there. He is a 6-yard per carry career rusher right now. Again, he still has less than 200 attempts, but I'm pretty okay with J.K. Dobbins in that lineup. However, with everybody else you just mentioned, honestly, Devontae Smith against the Cowboys. The Cowboys actually allow a decent amount of fantasy points. It's bottom 12 in the league. 2 wide receivers, mostly because they're winning so many games. So in garbage time, there's more throw-heavy schemes against them. Watson's going against a Miami defense that is bottom 6 in the league in pass yards allowed and in pass touchdowns allowed per game. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton doesn't look like he's going to be back. I'm really not a big fan of that offense. He did have one nice week not too long ago. Watson definitely sticks out to me. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, especially in a run-heavy offense, I mean, considering that, they've worked together pretty well. I'm probably thinking Watson or Smith. I think Dobbins will do well, but if we're talking PPR Leighton, we want a pass catcher. And as great as Dobbins is, the other thing I wanted to highlight with him, he just doesn't go out and catch passes. I know he's just coming back, but 7 receptions in 6 games on 7 targets, so he's perfect in that regard. I don't think it's fair to declare him as a pass-catching back yet. I'd say he's good at a start at the running back position, but when you're dealing with flex and you have other pass catchers in there like Watson against Miami, like Smith against Dallas, even though they do have a nice secondary, it's more so the front 7 that's pretty impressive. I think we got to go with Watson or Smith. Maybe there's some unknowns there with Minshew coming back and playing his first game in a year. A lot of people have confidence in the guy. People love him. He's a meme in all the great ways, right? But Watson, we know, is going against a Miami team that is very vulnerable on the back end. That could be a shootout. So I have Aaron Rodgers as one of my starter QBs this week. I listed him that in the start 2 sit 1 short series that we have. I don't see why you wouldn't go with Christian Watson, a big play guy going up against a team that gets beat over the top a lot when that's his specialty. He's a big play guy. He has less than 30 receptions, but he's got a handful of touchdowns already. The reception to touchdown ratio is ridiculous. So I'm going Watson or Smith there, Leighton. I think that's what I'm going to roll with. Dylan asking Dawson Knox or Gerald Everett. That's a tough one. Dawson Knox going up against the Bears. Gerald Everett going up against the Colts. Let's look at strength of opposition here. That's another thing I love to look at. Again, availability, opportunity, productivity. Strength of opposition is pretty important too. I want to see 2 things. 1, what I'm Googling, how many fantasy points are being allowed to tight ends. But 2, I'm curious Oh, we'll have to do some math. That's okay. Yards per reception. Are they allowing some bigger plays over the top with tight ends? You know, that depends on schemes and stuff. Justin Herbert does a phenomenal job at spreading the ball out. Did I miss them? No, they're right here. Let's go here. Colts are middle of the pack, so this would be the opposition for Gerald Everett. Colts are middle of the pack. 9.2 allowed. We've got 4.4 receptions. I lost it. There it is. For 45 yards. So we're looking at about 10 yards per reception. Nothing crazy. The Bears, surprisingly good against tight ends. The Bears actually have a decent pass defense. Again, you have to understand the Bears have also lost so many games. They are 3-11 now. Yep. And I'm a Bears fan, by the way. So as a result, teams are going to go to more run-heavy schemes down the stretch. They don't feel the need to pass the ball in all 4 quarters. The Bears hang around. They give teams tough matchups. I'm shocked the ball isn't passed more. But their defense is all right. Jalen Johnson is out, so not that he would really be going toe-to-toe with any tight ends, but you never know. 3.4 receptions for 33.1 yards. So it's tough. Knox has been more up and down. And actually, if we look at the overall usage of Gerald Everett, this is something I love to look at, folks. Player target usage, and then just look up the team. It's going to tell you who's getting looks, right? I think I typed that in the wrong order. I think it's Chargers player target usage. Oh, I did not just do that. Okay, there we go. Okay, if you guys are just stopping in, welcome in. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday night and a great Christmas Eve. My name is Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. We're helping you out-research your opponent. Make sure you hit a like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're getting value out of this video. We're trying to help you get that W in your playoffs, whether it's for first or not last. And you don't want to do the Waffle House skit where you have to eat 1 waffle per hour to make sure you don't stay in that facility for an entire day. So Gerald Everett, actually the second leading receiver. Don't be misled. Obviously, Mike Williams has been hurt a lot this year. Keenan Allen's been hurt a lot. That's mainly why Keenan Allen's not number 1. DeAndre Carter's had a decent hand and everything as well. He's just stayed healthy. That's why Joshua Palmer's number 1. Although Joshua Palmer's maintained a decent amount of targets. So targets for the last 4 games are in the parentheses here. We're seeing Gerald Everett pretty involved. Catch rate isn't as high as I'd want it to be, but 52 receptions for 500+ yards. Herbert spreads the ball out well. We look at the last game. Keenan Allen gets 9 targets. Williams gets 8, 6, 6, 2 for Carter. Let's look 2 games ago. This is not a coincidence. 6 for Palmer, 8 for Everett, 14 for Allen, 6 for Williams. Williams was out. 11, 6, 14, 2, 7, 4, 7, 10. I think Gerald Everett's going to get more targets. James Cook is a very efficient running back, and I could see him and Devin Singletary getting a lot of action, especially against a front 7 in Chicago that's just been sold off. So I could also see that happening and unfolding. I'm probably going Gerald Everett. Yeah, Dylan, I think Gerald Everett gets more chances in an offense where Justin Herbert spreads the ball out great. Not that Josh Allen doesn't. And I know I didn't even look at Josh Allen, but I did look at the strength of opposition. The Bears actually defend the pass pretty well, and I could definitely see the Bills going up 21, 28 points, and then it's just a Devin Singletary and James Cook garbage time fantasy day, which would make some people happy. So I'm probably going Gerald Everett. I feel like he has the higher floor there. Ricardo Montez, good to see you in here. Tom Brady or Justin Fields? Tom Brady with the easier matchup. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got Mike Evans. Justin Fields going against the Bills. We know his innate running ability. Here's my thing with Justin Fields, okay? Call me crazy. I don't care that he's going against the top defense. Why? Because I've seen him do it before, and I've seen it go just fine. If we look here, who did he just play? He just played the Eagles. Broke off for a huge run, and he doesn't have to do that. A lot of people see a tough defense, and they go, oh my gosh, it's not going to go well. They're going to shut him down. They might shut him down for 3 quarters. He just needs a couple big plays. If Justin Fields pops off for a 50-yard rush, for a touchdown, there's 11 points. He doesn't have to do much from beyond that. I was going to look at Fields here. Everyone's like, he's playing the Bills, man. He's going to get chased around. Yeah, he's pretty fast. He just played the Eagles. He's quarterback 6 for a 3-11 team. They don't have to win the game. And what typically happens when teams are down? Quarterback's going to throw the ball a little bit more. Or they're going to go for more explosive plays. By that, I mean Justin Fields is going to go run freely. He's not going to run freely when his team is up a few possessions. Now, we haven't seen that much this year. That's going to be more the David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert look. What we do know is Justin Fields has gone up against some great defenses, and he's done fine. First game of the season, torrential downpour against San Francisco, only 13, okay? It's a little rusty, but when he hit his stride in this Minnesota game, let's look at some defenses he went against. New England, that bats a lot of eyes, right? 23 points. Dallas, Micah Parsons going to go after him. He'll get sacked too. Quarterbacks don't lose points for sacks, except if you're in like a very specific type of league format. 26 points against Dallas. Miami, we saw that coming. Maybe not 42 points, but we saw it coming. Detroit handled his business. Atlanta, Green Bay. Oh no, he's going against the Eagles. Another 24 points. If we look at Tampa, Tom, you know, Chris Godwin's been well involved. Mike Evans finally broke out again. Going against Arizona, he just hasn't looked great. He hasn't had a single 20-point... No, I'm sorry. He had one against Kansas City. Hasn't had a single 20-point performance since before Halloween. That's just not enough for me. I know he's going against Arizona, but let's look at some... Let's go the other way, right? Let's look at some easy secondaries he's played against. 25.4 against Kansas City. Yep, that's his best one. What about Atlanta? 19. Okay, all right. Baltimore, 17. From there, he's actually had a pretty tough schedule, secondary-wise. 25 against arguably the worst secondary in the league. And what did Hurts just do against the best... Hurts. What did Fields just do against the best secondary in the league? Or one of the best secondaries in the league? He nearly had 25 himself. He had 23.5 because of that running element. It's cold across the NFL. Everything calls for a run-heavy scheme. The Bears run the ball more than anybody else, and it's mostly because Justin Fields breaks free and is efficient in doing so. Let's go Fields over Brady, Ricardo. BapJeb says, Tom Brady should have been dumped so long ago. I'm ashamed to have picked him up as my quarterback during my draft. I don't think a lot of people saw the resurgence because the guy defies Father Time. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Like, no matter what, he's always been doing well. Up until this year, he hasn't looked too sharp, to say the very least. Yeah, running upside... Strength of opposition doesn't really bother me because of what he just did against the Eagles, because of what he's done against Dallas, many other teams. So, Ricardo, let's ride Justin Fields. Disturbed Kid says Pacheco, Dobbins, Deion Jackson, playoff Lenny, Ramondre, Cook, or Mack. Which two would you start? I'm assuming that's Marlon Mack. Disturbed Kid, is this PPR? Let me know. Right off the bat, I'm thinking Pacheco against Seattle and Dobbins against the Falcons. Dobbins is averaging 6 yards a carry in his career. I know, again, it's a small sample size. He still hasn't had 200 attempts, but he looks electric out in the open field. Pacheco's slowly getting more involved in the pass-catching game, which I'm pretty impressed with. That's something I've wanted to see for a while. Right? It's not a lot, but it is something. I didn't really want to do that. There we go. 3 receptions for 23 yards against Denver. 2 for 16 against Cincinnati. Only 1 for 11, and he had a fumble against Houston. That was pretty disappointing, but, you know, against Seattle, I'm okay with that. Let's maybe go with Mr. Isaiah Pacheco. As for J.K. Dobbins... I think if he can get a touchdown, he can have a seriously, like, phenomenal day because he is so efficient on the ground. We just need him to get in the end zone. Atlanta allows 1.1 rushing touchdowns, so they're mid-tier in the league, right? In a 5-way tie there with a few other teams. You are in PPR. Yeah, I'm thinking Pacheco and Dobbins. Deion Jackson, so this is for Disturbed Kid. We actually have a situation in... the Colts. I know you're thinking Deion Jackson, right? Because he had the nice game earlier this year. I believe he had like 10 receptions for... I'm curious now. It's like 10 receptions for 79 yards. See if I remember that to a T. 10 for 79. I'll be danged. But, so right there, we're like, oh my goodness, this guy's the answer. Had 4.2 yards per carry. Had the touchdown. Looked better in terms of fantasy. Again, we can't really take away much from we can't take away much from that Minnesota Indianapolis game. It was the greatest comeback in NFL history. So fantasy-wise, there's going to be some anomalies there. But this guy got the touches. Zach Moss. Again, if you guys are just stopping in, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe if you're getting value out of this content. Drop your questions in the chat. I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. And our goal on this channel is to help you out-research your opponent. Leave some love for me, and I'll give some back to you in the form of knowledge, advice, research, all that good stuff. It's my goal to put as much fact-based information in front of you as possible so that you can have the best chance of winning. That's the whole point of out-researching your opponent, right? So if we look at snap percentage here, Zach Moss, who is listed as the running back 1 right now, 67%. Deion Jackson, just 32%. Again, Jackson was a little more efficient, but also if we look at the official cold step chart, it already said it there, but we'll go to this one. It is Zach Moss over Deion Jackson, so that's one of the reasons I'm kind of swerving off Deion Jackson. Yes, he has the innate pass-catching ability. We saw him go 10 for 79. That was a very exciting week. But nonetheless, not a big fan of him. Cook is a depth move. We still have him and Singletary splitting. I'll go to the same stat there. We want to look at snap percentage. Got an ad going off. Excuse me, folks. We are 5 away from 350 subscribers. Thank you all so much for the recent support. If you can hit that subscribe button, if you can hit the like button, and please, 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 the most important part, put your questions in the comment section below. I'm going to put as much research-based information in front of you as possible so we can help you out-research and defeat your opponent in Week 16. So we're looking at James Cook and Devin Singletary. 60%, 36%. We're kind of seeing this 50-50 split for a bit. Devin Singletary's been the primary guy. He was getting plenty of catches here. So it's still, I would say, an average of 65-35 if I had to, find an average between all of this. I don't think Cook has passed Singletary in snaps yet this year. He has not. So again, we want a primary back. We want usage. So I'm probably going Pacheco and Dobbins. That's for a disturbed kid. Pacheco's got some pass catching upside. Dobbins is just so efficient. And then we go Mac, Cook, not too great. Ramondre is interesting. I need him to be a full go though. So if you don't see anything about like limited snaps, disturbed kid, we could put Ramondre in there because he's got 60 receptions and as a running back, that's pretty good, right? So Pacheco, Dobbins, or Ramondre, any combination between those two. If I were to take one out of those, I'd probably take Dobbins out and put Ramondre in, go Ramondre, Pacheco. But Ramondre needs to be 100% good. Somebody can play and have limited snaps, so we got to be sure about that. The fact he's questionable the night before kickoff, not too excited about that, right? But him getting those pass catches against Cincinnati could be phenomenal. Cincinnati's got a pretty tough defense overall, top to bottom. Leighton Alvarez says, for running back 2, we had ETN. For running back 1, do we run Dobbins, Rashad White, or Jerick McKinnon? I'm a big Jerick McKinnon guy. I know it's recency bias, or it seems like it, but with the pass catching ability, anytime you have somebody who's thriving through the air like he is, look, he was the leading receiver over Travis Kelce, over Juju Smith-Schuster, over everybody. He was the leading receiver 2 weeks ago. He's got 15 receptions in the last 2 weeks. He has 4 total touchdowns, 3 in the receiving category. I really like Jerick McKinnon. Rashad White against Arizona could turn out well. Dobbins against Atlanta. Leighton, if this is PPR, I gotta go Jerick McKinnon. I'm not gonna lie to you. Disturbed kid, no problem, man. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe if you got value out of the video. We live stream a couple times a week, probably 2 to 3. It's been more this week because we're in the playoffs, right? Got plenty of content going into the off season, and we do YouTube shorts every single day. Little 15-second spritzes of knowledge for all of your wonderful brains. So, yeah. So I'm probably going Jerick McKinnon. Rashad White's a decent selection. Lenny is in there, getting some more snaps than we probably want him to if we're a Rashad White owner. 39% of snaps. Rashad White was in for that many. Oh, Lenny's back up to 58%. So he's kind of taken over now that he's healthy again. Again, I really want somebody with pass catching upside for PPR. We know what we're getting with Jerick McKinnon. But the Rashad White has been great. 41 for 49. I love that he's caught. That's right at 80% of his targets. It's been down a little bit as of late. The fact he's giving up touches to Lenny, though, I would feel safest with Jerick McKinnon. I know Pacheco's back there, and I know I said start Isaiah Pacheco to somebody else, but both guys have been pretty involved. Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco can be on the field together because McKinnon's just going out for passes. He's going out in the flat. He's breaking down defenses in that way. Pacheco's breaking down defenses on the ground. So good. And these two secondaries, the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans, you know what sticks out to me? He got 3 receiving touchdowns against them, so that's an average of 1.5 receiving touchdowns. If we look, Denver allows the least amount of passing touchdowns in the league. He got 2 by himself against them on the receiving end. Houston is another one of those 4 teams that allows less than 1 passing touchdown per game. He got 1 against them as well. I really like Jerick McKinnon, especially in a PPR format. Yeah. Prey says, might have came late, but I showed. I appreciate you, Prey. Mr. calling me Brock Purdy all the time. Have you done Wordle? I haven't done Wordle yet today. I could do the NFL Weddle. I could do Wordle too. Do you know the weather on the Chargers game? Because I'm starting Cameron Dicker. I can check. I know the weather everywhere kind of sucks right now. Oh, wait a minute. Doesn't matter. They're both in domes. Yeah, they're in Lucas Oil Stadium, so it doesn't matter. Otherwise, they'd be in SoFi. I was just going to say, both of those teams play for... Yeah, so I think you're safe with Cameron Dicker. I don't get why every fantasy rating site rates Harrison Butker as kicker number 1 this week. Well, they are playing the Seahawks. Maybe the Seahawks just allow a ton of field goals. There's got to be some reason for that projection, right? Again, if you guys are just stopping in, I appreciate you a ton. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe if you are getting value out of this video. I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. Hope you're enjoying the content. We are here to help you out-research your opponent going into Week 16. I can't really answer that one for you. Seattle allows 1.8 field goal attempts per game. They're actually top half of the league in terms of not allowing that many. Unless projections just think that Butker's going to have like 7 or 8 extra points. I don't know. Which is always in play with that Kansas City offense. Would you take Folk or Dicker? Folk against Cincinnati, right? We need to rely on New England to take the ball down the field enough for Folk to even get a shot. Dicker's going against an Indianapolis Colts team that just gave up 36 points and a half. So it's very tough for me to go against that. However, Folk is going to be outdoors against the elements, so I'm going to take Cameron Dicker indoors. We'll go with the elements argument there. We'll take the inside matchup. We only need a couple chip shots from Folk, but he's going up against a tougher defense, and he's outdoors. There's a greater chance that Dicker does well. Let's do the NFL Weddle real quick. Why not? Why not? And we'll probably hop off. Again, guys, if you're stopping in, thank you so much for all of your recent support. We're 5 subscribers away from 350. I appreciate you all a ton. Merry Christmas Eve. All 345 of you are separate little individually wrapped gifts to me. I'm appreciative of all of you, seriously. So thank you all so much for the recent support. Let's go A.J. Brown. Actually, let's go Cameron Dicker. No? Oh, you can't do kickers in this. Okay, wide receiver not in the NFC. We'll go to the AFC. Higher than 11. Let's go Mecole. Ooh, is number 17, not in the West. So it's not Devontae Adams either. I just want to figure out divisions right now, so we'll go... I know it's not... I know he's not 17. Okay, so the North... Gotta be the South. What? Oh, I'm an idiot. It's the East. Aguilar. Nelson. Hello? No. Okay. I thought he was 17. It's Garrett Wilson. There it is. What other questions do you guys have for me? Otherwise, I can go through some streams here. And I'll probably hightail it out of here. Let all of you enjoy your Christmas Eve with your family. I didn't want to make this stream too long. I know we're already over an hour, but we've gone for almost 3 before, so I'll try and make sure it doesn't get to that point. Just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Let's see what we got. There were a couple of flex options I did want to run over real quick in terms of just people you could pick up last second. Cam Akers has actually been doing pretty well. All things considered, he's had a horrible season, but he's had 2 double-digit performances as of late. A little involved in the pass catching game there. Did not need a touchdown to get into the double digits. That means a lot. We don't want someone who's too touchdown reliant. This guy's still only owned in half of leagues, and I fail to understand how. I think everyone's just looking for someone who's going to be super explosive, and you don't have to be. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of his 14 games that he's played in, he's been able to get into double digits. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones, one of the most consistent receivers you'll see. Got some tough matchups against really all 3 of these teams are pretty respectable for the most part. Treylon Burks coming back. That's somebody we may want to look at. With Malik Willis, maybe not so much actually, but otherwise it's pretty dry. That's just what's available in my league. We can go here and go under 50%. Go one more tab. James Cook for deeper leagues. He's the more efficient back out of the 2 between him and Devin Singletary. That could be an interesting one. You kind of need him to be involved in the passing game to really have a ton of success, but you never know. Darius Slayton's been doing better. It's been more of a balanced attack. Saquon Barkley is not getting 30 touches a game anymore, which is nice to see. It's up there, but it's not that. Streaming. Browns D. Chase Claypool's owned in half of leagues. If you have him, please drop him. He's the most run-heavy offense in the league, and they're not using him, even though they gave up a second-rounder for him. Oh, in general. So against New Orleans, wouldn't hate the Browns' defense move. I'd be a lot better off. I think you'd be a lot better off if you had the Titans going up against that really weak Texans offense. Otherwise, Bengals against Patriots. Chargers against Colts could be interesting as well. We just want to feed off those bottom tier offenses. If we look at strength of opposition. And I appreciate all of you hopping in the stream. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe if you're getting value out of this. Pop those questions in the comment section below regarding your lineup, waiver wire pickups, all things fantasy football, or Christmas for all I care. Just ask some questions. And if you get value out of it, I would greatly appreciate a subscription out of you. We are on the road to 350 subs. We're almost there. As always, I am here to help you out-research your opponent and get the W in Week 16. I can't guarantee wins, but I can guarantee I'll put way more information in front of you than your opponent probably has in front of them. And New Orleans only scoring 20.4. We just want to feed off these teams down here, right? So we know Houston's going up against Tennessee. We know Indy's going against the Chargers. Yeah, those are ones that we really want to feed off of. Rams going against the Broncos. I'd be okay with the Browns D, but I'd be better. I would like it a lot more if you went after like the Titans, The Broncos would be a good one, but you probably can't stream them. They're owned in a majority of leagues. They're a top 10 defense in terms of fantasy. Favorite Christmas film? Probably Christmas Vacation. I was just watching it. That's a really good one. Christmas Story is good. You'll shoot your eye out. What about you guys? Favorite Christmas film? Christmas films, if you have multiple. For me, it's Christmas Vacation or Christmas Story. Home Alone is good too, but I'm going to go with the first two I mentioned. See if I can figure this one out too. On defense in the AFC. Not a corner. I think he's older than... Yeah, he's 28. Ooh. Trey Hendrickson? His number's going to be too high. Oh, it literally says it's on Pittsburgh. Okay. Not a D tackle. Okay. Oh. Who am I missing? Elf, Home Alone, and Polar Express. Those are all solid. I forgot about Polar Express. Oh, freaking Minka. Is it Minka? It is Minka. There we go. Yeah, some other. A lot of you love to ask about defensive streams, so I'm trying to think of other ones we could possibly go after. You know, with Trace McSorley in there, I wouldn't hate the Buccaneers move, but they're probably not going to be available. They're 70, so we'll go to under 50%. Yeah, I'm not rolling with the Steelers. That Vegas team is very scary, and they just got Hunter Renfrow back and Darren Waller, so not saying they're all going to do a whole lot, right? But Rams could be an interesting one. I really would not doubt it if the end of this game between the Rams and the Broncos is like 9-6. I mean, these are very, very horrible offenses going toe-to-toe with each other, so would not be shocked in the slightest if something like that happened. Got to watch Ramondre's status and Murray, but Murray says, yeah, Murray's probable. Ramondre Stevenson, from what I'm seeing, I did injury updates earlier. I've actually got all these for you guys. So Kenneth Walker III probably going to play. Ramondre is still questionable. Lamar for sure out. So Mark Andrews owners, keep that in mind. He hasn't connected too well with Tyler Huntley, who might also not play. And then Latavius Murray is going to play, it looks like. And Marquise Brown is still questionable. You got Broncos in your league or Bucks? Oh, like, do I have them? In that league? Yeah, I'm that guy who has like 4 leagues, so my defense in general. If you're asking who I'd pick this week, I would definitely pick, even with Colt out as well, I would still pick the Broncos against that really bad Rams team. I have the Broncos, yep. I have 2 top 10 defenses. I don't know why. It's working well, though. We're 9-5, so I think I just wanted to keep him off. I really want Debo to come back. He's on my IR right now. I think I have 2 like powerhouse defenses to the point where I don't want somebody else to have them, so I'm kind of just hoarding them. Our flex waiver wire isn't anything crazy. I'm probably going to drop Deontay for a pass catcher. I'll probably drop Deontay for, honestly. Yeah, see what I mean? Like, I don't know. Oh, DPJ probably. Do that right now, to be honest. Deontay is losing touches and snaps to Hubbard, so we're going to do that. But yeah, so I have the Broncos and the Eagles. So there's your injury updates there. As good. Oh, you got Broncos in your league or Bucks as good streaming defenses. Yeah, we're definitely going Buccaneers. The Rams are beat, battered, and they're one of the worst offenses in the league. Even with Baker Mayfield, we saw that offense only put up 12 points against the Packers defense. I think we can all agree here, top to bottom, the Broncos have a better defense than the Packers, so we're gonna go with that. Let's see what else we got here. Max says, hi, Corey. Hey, Max, good to see you. If you've got any questions regarding your fantasy football team, let me know. Or Ravens or Titans. Titans is a good one. Wouldn't be too crazy about the Ravens. Good streaming defenses. We would go Broncos if they're available. They're not in most. They're owned in 70% of leagues. We'd go Broncos against the Rams. We would definitely go Titans against the Texans. Those are two very good ones. Buccaneers against the Cardinals are okay. In order, I'd probably go Broncos, then Titans, then Bucks. And I know the Titans are probably the weakest defense out of all those, but the Texans have such a horrible offense. It's unbelievable. If Ramondre is injured, choose one full PPR. DeAndre Swift, Rashad White, Ezekiel Elliott, Jerick McKinnon. We're probably going to choose between... Swift is getting more snaps now. He's definitely battling still with Jamal Williams for touches. McKinnon isn't really battling with Pacheco. Like I said, he's strictly a pass catcher who's going to get a few rushes a game. Rashad White's battling, and then Zeke is... See what I mean? These are all running back by committees now. That's the entire league. Outside of like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and a handful of others, you really... Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler. You really don't have a whole lot of running backs who have the backfield to themselves. But I'm probably going McKinnon. He's got, 15 receptions in the last 2 games, 4 total touchdowns. He's going against the Seattle defense that's pretty vulnerable. So I'm probably going McKinnon. I could see Zeke against the pretty weak run defense. Zeke also has a touchdown in 7 straight games. I like McKinnon or Zeke there. I feel like Swift is still competing too much with Williams, and Fournette's kind of getting his snaps back as well. Wait, was Disturbed Kid asking for streaming defenses? Yes. Like in the Bucks too. Olave and Landry are hurt. Yeah, Disturbed if you have Bucks, Broncos, or Ravens, or Titans. If you don't go with the Browns. McKinnon. Oh yeah, Prey saying McKinnon as well. I agree. Dallas is available. I think Dallas could be an interesting one against Minshew. I think Dallas, even against Hurts, did fine. They held Hurts pretty well. I like Dallas is the #1 defense. I mean, Dallas isn't better than any of the ones I named. They don't have a good matchup, but Dallas, I believe, is the #1 fantasy defense in the league right now. Well, depending on your league format, right? Mine is just strictly standard PPR. Are they not #1? They're 3. Okay, that's probably the 49ers at 1. Pick up Dallas for next week. Yeah, this week, I understand. Against the Eagles, they've still got Devontae Smith, still got A.J. Brown. Miles Sanders, top 10 back in the league right now. Yeah, for streaming defenses, let's go Dallas long term. Bucks this week would be fine. Titans this week would be fine. Bengals this week would be a sneaky one if you can get them. You like Treylon Burks, Prey. Yeah, Treylon Burks was doing just fine, but Malik Willis doesn't throw the ball. He's got a season high of 16 passing attempts. Niners are 1, and maybe the Bills at 2 or Eagles at 2. I'm going to guess Niners 1, Eagles 2. Let's see. I'd be very shocked if they're 2. Niners are 2. I know the Eagles aren't 1 then. Eagles are 3. Okay, if it's anybody other than the Bills, there's a secret out there that I don't know about. 7. Okay, 1 second. I am very curious now. Who is it? It's the Patriots. Okay. They don't really jump off the chart. They're not forcing a... No, they are forcing a decent amount of turnovers. They've allowed north of 30 points on 3 occasions to Baltimore, Chicago, and Minnesota. It's the Patriots. Okay. Choose 3 full PPR: McKinnon, Kamara, Waddle, Godwin. We got to go with the pass catcher. Kamara's got a decently tough matchup. I'm going to go Waddle. Waddle's got a pretty tough matchup against the Patriots secondary, but him and Hill, I mean, the focus is probably going to be on Hill. We're going to go Waddle. Chris Godwin has been the true wide receiver one. I know it was leaning more towards Mike Evans last week, but Chris Godwin getting more usage for sure. Jerick McKinnon, I'll stick by that argument all day long. 15 receptions in the last 2 games for a running back. It's phenomenal. It's Christian McCaffrey / Saquon Barkley-like. 4 total touchdowns, 3 in the receiving category. Against Seattle, I think he does well enough. I think he'll be involved enough, judging by his success. So I'm going McKinnon, Waddle, and Godwin, and I'm leaving Kamara out. Yeah, I thought Tannehill was out for the season. Yeah, he is. Ankles, bum. I could see him maybe coming back in the playoffs from what I'm seeing, but I don't know. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Sure. My dad considers it a Christmas movie. Kickers, Cameron Dicker, indoors. We want kickers that are indoors. Okay, Disturbed Kid, we want a kicker that is indoors. Let me find some here. National Lampoon Christmas Vacate. Yep, I was saying that was mine. Cameron Dicker, McLaughlin, Nick Folk, Graham, Jason Myers, Brett Maher, Bagley, Jason Sanders, Ryan Suckup are all good kickers this week. Yeah, we just want people who are indoors. We don't want people who are battling the elements. I'm usually a big Tyler Bass guy because even though the Bills' offense is amazing, they get a decent amount of field goals for him as well. The move is to go with healthy Ramondre, McKinnon, Waddle, Godwin, CD, and bench Kamara. That's what I'm thinking. Obviously, if Ramondre is hurt, we move everybody down the line one. And, you know, you've got your answer there. And Kamara would go in, but that's what I'm thinking, Edward. Hope that helps. Yeah, Cameron Dicker is a great move because he's going to be in Lucas Oil Stadium. We don't want people who are braving the elements right now, which is a decent amount. No problem, Disturbed Kid. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Mason Crosby. Are they... Oh, it is in Miami. Yeah, I'd go Crosby too. We just have to be fair weather fans right now. Like, quite literally fair weather fans. We have to go with kickers who are in good elements. I want nothing to do with the game in Chicago. I want nothing to do with the game in Cleveland. I don't want anything to do with anything in the Midwest right now. Yeah, Graham, McLaughlin, Suckup, Jake Elliott, Manis are all indoors. Good stuff, Prey. That's what we want to look for. It seems weird, but, you know, when it's like negative or, you know, less than 20 or the wind chill's going into the negatives in a handful of games, we want to stay away from those. Crosby not good this week, if you ask me. Crosby's accuracy's been down the last year, so not crazy about him, but he is in decent weather, so I would take him over a Tyler Bass or a Cairo Santos, in my opinion. Not the best pick, but Crosby's better than a handful of guys out there who are, you know, in horrible weather. I would say that's fair. A fair statement. Other questions you guys got? Drop Bass for Dicker. This week I would. You can stream kickers all day long. Dicker is indoors. Bass is not. Bass is at a windy, swirling, possibly snow-filled Soldier Field. I'm not going to do that. The ball is harder. Guys are just not going to go out of their way to kick 55, 60-yarders in this type of weather. Isn't the Bills' defense going to have horrible weather? Or isn't the Bills? Yeah, the Bills are in Chicago, so drop Bass for Dicker. I'm pretty sure Bills are going to have horrible weather. They're in Soldier Field. I live an hour and a half from Soldier Field. I can tell you personally, it is horrible here. So I would stay away from Dicker. Or I'm sorry, I would stay away from Tyler Bass. I would stay away from Eddie. I said the old Bears kicker. I would stay away from Cairo Santos. I think Cameron Dicker, McLaughlin, obviously, both of those guys going to be kicking in Lucas Oil Stadium. Could see a lot of field goals in that game. Missed out on Riley Patterson this week. A lot of people were talking about the weather there, and it did get pretty nasty, but 19-3 ball game. He got a decent amount of field goals. Riley Patterson did well. Someone told me to play him, and I didn't because of the rain. Yeah, and he still fought through pretty well. He had a couple mid-40-yarders. Edward wondering, Dicker, Greg Joseph, Gano, or Sanders? Great question. Let's see. think Dicker or McLaughlin, honestly. I could see the Chargers driving down more. I was talking about this with kickers before. You guys have been really interested in kickers lately, which it's good. You know, you want to be able to nickel and dime your way past another team. I love kickers with plenty of attempts who are also accurate, aka I like offenses that are able to drive down the field and can't finish drives. So they get in the red zone and they have a really low red zone touchdown percentage. That gives our kickers a shot, right? So Dicker, Joseph, Gano, or Sanders. It's 0 degrees where I'm at. Pray, where are you from? You don't have to disclose like an address, but just like a general city if you're okay with that. Yeah. Only reason Dicker is 29th is because he's only played like half the season. So very accurate though. 16 for 17. Okay, so it's in Minnesota. Gano. Yeah, we're just going off weather here because really there's going to be like a point or two difference on a week-to-week basis between most kickers. Obviously, Gano then in Minnesota, so those two playing in the same spot. And then Sanders in Miami. I'm cool with any of those. Those are all, you know, they're in good venues or they're in warm weather. Let's go with that. It's 0 degrees where I'm at, says Prey. My goodness. From Kentucky. Okay. My team is going to have a good week. I already had Ingram play, and I have Dicker and Niners defense. Niners defense is always a move, man. Always a move. Evan Ingram had 18 point something. I have him on this one team. Oh, not this team. This one. 18.3. Riley Patterson, man. What a week. Man, it's tough choosing kickers. Pick a number 1 through 5. I really, yeah, I know. I like teams with low red zone touchdown percentages. So if you want a tiebreaker here, we'll go between the Chargers, the Vikings, the Giants, and the Dolphins, okay? Watch this. Most field goal attempts. Low, what is it? Red zone touchdown attempts. I hope you're all having a very happy holidays with, you know, your friends, your family, your loved ones, whoever you're with right now. Merry Christmas Eve Eve. It's about to be Christmas Eve by me. No. We want red zone touchdown percentage. There we go. I want a high amount of field goal attempts. Okay. So what are we doing? Los Angeles, Minnesota, New York, and Miami. Los Angeles, Minnesota, New York, and Miami. Los Angeles, Minnesota, New York, and Miami. There's Los Angeles. There's New York. There's Miami. There's Minnesota. So Los Angeles up top. Cameron Dicker right now on a team that averages, and I say on a team because he came in halfway through the season, 2 field goals a game. So it goes Los Angeles, New York, Miami, Minnesota. And then we want a team that can't score in the red zone. And Los Angeles is at the top of that too. So just saying, we've got a guy in Cameron Dicker who is on a team that cannot score touchdowns from the red zone, so he gets plenty of opportunities there. He gets more field goal attempts than any of the other guys you just mentioned. And he's 16 for 17 on field goals. I'm probably rolling with Cameron Dicker. McLaughlin, that's a good one too. You're in Indianapolis. They don't really move the ball at all. So you kind of got to hope a little bit there. Indianapolis, 2.5. Okay, so they do get a ton of field goal. Oh, that might be your answer. Tied for the most field goal attempts per game. Second worst red zone touchdown percentage. As long as they're somewhat in the game, those are going to be field goals inside of 38 yards. Again, as long as it's not like a 3-possession game and they're just going to go for it. I like McLaughlin, not going to lie. Most field goal attempts, and he is on the team with the second worst red zone touchdown percentage. Let's go with that. Tight ends, my starter is Cole. In that bad weather on a very run-heavy offense, not crazy about Cole. Maybe Juwan Johnson. Wouldn't hate that. Komet will not have a good week. Name the top options. Yeah, but they sat Matt Ryan and JT's injured. I know, but they just have to get down the field. You know what I mean? They don't have to score in the end zone or anything like that. If that's not something you're comfortable with and you don't think they can get past midfield, which with that Indianapolis offense, I don't blame you for thinking that, go with Cameron Dicker. We know, especially with a healthy wide receiving core, what that Chargers offense can do. They have a bum QB. They won't make it to the red zone, most likely with Zach Moss. Yeah, I know. That's one of the most disappointing offenses right now. I would say Los Angeles Rams are up there, but everybody's hurt, so they kind of have an excuse, although they were mid at best before everybody got hurt. Definitely the Texans, which we expected. Colts, I can't say we expected. I was one of the people on that train saying, Matt Ryan's got an offensive line. He's going to be amazing now. So, yeah. But Juwan Johnson's a good tight end pickup, I would say. Evan Ingram is probably no longer available, and he already played this week. Yeah. There you go, Edward. No problem. Any plans for the holidays, Corey? Dylan's asking. Yeah. Just having family over. We're hosting at my house, so like 15, 20 people. Gonna eat a lot, watch plenty of football. Hope I move on in my fantasy football league, and hope all the advice I'm giving you guys helps a ton as well. And yeah, I hope all of you have a great, great holiday as well. What plans do you guys have going on? They have a bum QB. They won't make it to the red zone. Oh, yeah, I already read that. JJ's not available. Oh, Juwan Johnson's not available. Okay. So much faith in the Colts before the season started. It's not mostly Matt Ryan's fault. All coaches. Yeah, Frank Reich got fired for a reason, right? They shouldn't be asking a washed Matt Ryan to pass as much as they do. Yeah, I never understood why it was a pass-heavy scheme. If you look at what they did with Phillip Rivers, was that 2 full seasons ago now? Because it was Phillip Rivers and it was Carson Wentz. Now it's Matt Ryan. It worked so well. And that's when Jonathan Taylor really broke out. Broke out again last year, too. I don't understand why they went so pass-heavy. And they don't really have the personnel to go pass-heavy. I think Michael Pittman's great. Beyond that, I mean, okay. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, Paris Campbell's fine. Alec Pierce is a good rookie. I just don't think they have the personnel to run the schemes that they were running. And they're still pass-heavy. If I lose on Christmas, it's going to be awkward. I'm going to just start screaming and breaking stuff. Maybe don't do that. Going to my grandparents and watching a ton of basketball. Christmas basketball is phenomenal, too. I remember watching a Bulls-Lakers game where it was Derrick Rose against Kobe Bryant, probably 10-plus years ago now. Phenomenal game. Yeah, again, I appreciate all of you so much. So thank you for joining in. I hope you all have a great, great holiday. What else do we have here? I was looking at tight end streams for Disturbed Kid. Let's see. We're going to go lower than 50%. You just got to tell me if they're available or not. Taysom Hill is a great Swiss Army knife, especially with how he's been throwing the ball. I would not be shocked if New Orleans just starts throwing everything in the kitchen sink at everybody. Noah Fant's an interesting one. Beyond that, I still don't know why this guy gets ignored. Got the best catch percentage of anybody with over 15 targets. Don't go with Robert Tonyan. He's been horrible. Foster Moreau, I'd be a little alarmed with Darren Waller back. You could see the lack of usage there. There's not much. I hate to say it. You can think about a Conquo, but again, Malik Willis doesn't throw the ball. Hayden Hurst, if he played, would be huge. David Njoku. Any of those guys I mentioned, as long as they're healthy. No Hill. If you have Fant, go Fant. Njoku's great. He's only owning 43%. Did I read that right? No, he's owning 86%. That's what I thought. 46. Where am I seeing 43? Yeah, I agree. If Fant can go, he's good. Sticky, I really don't like. He's so inconsistent. Oh, now he's consistently bad. Definitely don't go with Sticky. Tyler Higbee's an interesting one because at least Baker Mayfield gets the ball to him. You could go Higbee. It's a really tight market right now for tight ends. I'm going to be honest with you. No Fant. Oh, go Fant. Oh, okay. I'm reading the wrong thing. Sturb Kid, Fant is available. I would go Fant. Seahawks can be passing the ball. Yeah, when you look at the secondary they're going up against in Kansas City, I would definitely say that Fant's got a pretty good shot of having a good day. Basketball on Christmas is an L. I don't think so. Eldo football at its Kadarius, Toney, or Juju. I'm going to go Juju Smith-Schuster. He gets a greater amount of targets. I know Kadarius coming off an injury. We really have a whole lot of unknowns there, but if you look at usage, we're consistently seeing Juju get, we're usually around the 8, 9, 10 range. We just don't have a big enough sample size with Kadarius Toney. It's just coming off an injury once again. He's injury prone. If he gets hurt halfway through the game, sucks to be us, right? I'm going Juju Smith-Schuster. I love basketball on Christmas, so I'm with Dylan on this one. But you could have your own opinion, pray. I'm going to head out. Corey, have a good holiday. Thanks for the insight. No problem, Dylan. Have a wonderful, happy holiday with your family. I meant Kansas City offense is so good, not their defense. Yeah, Kansas City offense is phenomenal. Their defense is great at letting other teams move the ball with them. Kansas City games are always great for fantasy because Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster. Now it's Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon. Of course, Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the league in terms of pass catching. Those guys are all going to do well, and then Kansas City's defense gives up so much. We're like, oh, okay. If Juju got 15 passes a game, he'd be insane. I feel like a lot of wide receivers would be insane if they got that type of usage, but especially Juju Smith-Schuster. There's just a lot of options there. Patrick Mahomes likes to spread the ball around. Obviously, Travis Kelce, the number one option there. They've got MVS. They've got Mecole. Got Jerick McKinnon out there getting 7, 8 receptions a game all of a sudden. So, yeah, pretty fun offense. Pretty fun stream today as well. I appreciate all of you so much. Again, leave a like, subscribe if you got value out of this. If you have any questions after this video ends, drop it in this video. Drop them in the comment section of my YouTube shorts. Again, we have this Start 2, Sit 1 series for the wide receiver position and the tight end position going up tomorrow. I'll probably do like 8 and 10 a.m., so a couple hours ahead of kickoff. Bills offense or Chiefs offense. I'm going to say the Bills offense is more complete. I'm going to say the Chiefs have a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. If Juju could just get a touchdown. Yeah, Chiefs. If you're saying Chiefs offense, I'm going to say Bills by a little bit because you've got Stephon Diggs. You've got Gabriel Davis, one of the best big play wide receivers. Dawson Knox is a great tight end. I'm still going to say Bills offense by a little bit, but I'm going to say the Chiefs have the way better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill left so many question marks, and look what he did, right? But nonetheless, I appreciate all of you so much. I hope you have a great holiday with your friends and family. Not going to stream for the next couple of days. I'll still do some YouTube shorts, some videos, give you guys some content in that regard. But again, if you have any questions, go in any of the comment sections for any of the content that I have produced, and I will gladly answer your questions. Otherwise, I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday with your friends and family.